Thinking of moving to Austin, Texas, huh? Well, I hope you really like the heat. This is just 5 minutes sitting out here. I hope you like the highway headaches. And this housing market that can really bite back, just like the bugs around here. Before you sell everything and ride off into the Texas sunset, pump the brakes. Austin's awesome, but it's not all queso and cowboy boots. In this video, I'm gonna share with you all the stuff that you need to know before you move out here, even the stuff that people don't talk about. Let's go, yeehaw! One of the most important things to keep in mind when it comes to moving out here is setting realistic expectations. Sometimes you have this budget in mind, but then you have this house in mind that do not match. I have countless examples of people that have reached out. They either shoot me a text, give me a phone call, or schedule a Zoom and we create a plan, and when we're talking, the budget does not match expectations. Yes, you can find homes under $300,000. You can find homes between $300,000 and $400,000. But a lot of these houses, especially under $300,000, they're not in convenient locations. Yes, they're brand new homes, which who doesn't love a brand new home with all the warranties and everything that you can imagine with a lower rate, a $499, a $399. You get all your closing costs covered. We can negotiate all the appliances, an amazing deal. To be very, very honest with you guys, it is not in a convenient location. It is in the path of progress, meaning the infrastructure is coming, the stores, the shopping, more spacious highways are coming, but it is not there yet. And that is why the price is much lower. If you don't mind that, if you like to be a little bit further out of the city, further out of convenience, then yes, we can find that. Another thing, these homes tend to be smaller. These homes tend to not have as many upgrades. So when some of you reach out because you found me here on YouTube and you reach out to the number, the email, or schedule a Zoom and we talked about it, and you have this expectation of finding a house, 3,000 square feet, tall ceilings, a big backyard for $300,000, that is not realistic. I hate to tell you, but that is not realistic in the Austin area. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer and you're like, hey, I just want to get in the market because I live in California and I cannot afford any home here, and you don't mind waiting 5 to 10 years to 15 years, and you get in under $300,000, highly recommend it. If you're a second-time home buyer, if you're a step-up buyer, I don't recommend those areas. Yes, the home is much cheaper or much more affordable. As a second-time home buyer, you have certain expectations. You have lived in your home before. You know what you want now. You know what you don't want, which is more important. So it is very, very important, especially for people moving out here that are not familiar with the areas, and this will take me on to the next point, is to set realistic expectations. Typically, if you want to find a mansion, let's say, or a bigger home, you have to go down to South Texas. And who wants to live out there? Nothing against the valley, but who wants to live down there? Way out in the middle of nowhere, right? Yes, you can find huge homes, 3,000 square foot homes for, I don't know, $400,000, $500,000. But again, you're not in Austin with the tech industry, the music festivals, Formula One, everything that's going on, the music, the vibes. Again, setting realistic expectations is key. A lot of you that found me here on YouTube, this is what we found out. Number one, your budget does not match the house. So typically we have to adjust. No matter how many times I tell you that, you have to see it for yourself. So yes, I recommend that you come down and you see it for yourself. Typically, it happened to me 3 times last year from people that were moving from out of town. 2 were moving from the Chicago area, and then another one was moving from California. They wanted to be in the mid $400,000s, and then we ended up being more in the low $500,000, maybe to mid $500,000. Once we checked all the boxes, and they were like, hey, Julio, this is what we want. But then, of course, when you compare it to California, when you compare it to Seattle, when you compare it to Illinois, or not Illinois, but the Chicago area, which I know it is in Illinois, but I'm talking about more Chicago, closer to Chicago, you can get a lot more home. So again, to wrap this up, setting realistic expectations is key, and that is where I come in. We set up a Zoom, we talk virtually, and I walk you, and I'm very honest with you. Hey, this is what you can expect. This is not so realistic, and that is where we come in and we come up with a really good plan to get you that home that you deserve. Next, I am on the Wild Wild West that is I-35. always under construction, as you can see, always improving. There's a saying here that goes, be like I-35, because you're always under improvement, always under construction. It never stops, guys. And it is very, very dangerous, to the point where I shouldn't be filming this. But, you know, I wanted to bring you a live-in experience of what it's like to drive on this highway. Obviously, I've been here forever, so I'm used to it, but it's always changing. These lanes are narrow as can be in some areas. There's always an accident. So whatever you do, when you come visit or when you move, just try to avoid I-35 as much as you can, just like I do. And as you can see, traffic, and you'll see it here in a second, traffic will start to slow down, more and more traffic in certain areas. The traffic lanes tend to get narrow, and as you can see to the side here, they have these huge concrete mediums that at times can sandwich you, right, between a 18-wheeler and a semi, and then maybe a bus to the other side. And then there could potentially be an idiot like myself on their phone, looking at their phone and not watching the road, which again, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm not speeding, I'm being very careful. And again, just wanted to bring you a taste, so to speak, of the Wild Wild West that it's I-35. Again, it is the only interstate, right, major interstate cut in through Austin. Traffic is horrendous in this highway, but more than anything, like I mentioned at the beginning, is the safety, because it's always under construction. There are certain spots that are always under construction, so the lane width will vary. And now here, look at this. We are completely stopped, and then it'll pick up again. And then you will definitely get some crazy dudes driving around here. But right now we're stopped, right? Now, I guess one benefit of I-35 is that, you know, it's not a toll road. So you don't have to worry about paying tolls, which is very common around here. And that is one of the benefits of the toll roads, because you don't have to deal with traffic. But overall, look at that giant 18-wheeler. Imagine going down here 70, 75 miles per hour. And then you have that guy on either side, or two guys on either side of the highway. So pretty dangerous highway, but that is something that a lot of people don't talk about. And how the biggest point that I'm trying to make with this is that it is always under construction, which makes it 10 times as dangerous. So if you're not watching yourself, you know, it could be a very, very dangerous highway. And in fact, I'm done with this video. I'm not just gonna get off of it. Another very important point that a lot of people don't talk about is that I always recommend that you visit Austin before you make the commitment to move out here or to buy a house out here, which is such a big investment. I have had people, they have bought sight unseen. We did everything through video. I helped them through the entire process, taking a video of the house, you know, taking a video of the areas. We help you through that. But there is nothing like coming out here and smelling the place, touching the place, driving around, getting a feel for the heat, for example, if you're not used to this kind of weather, and just driving around, taking it all in. There is nothing more valuable than that. And yes, I would say 95% of my families, they take one trip to come out here. They spend a couple of days out here. Do we like it? Do we not like it? And of course, majority of people decide to move. But I have had, especially last year, I had two families that came down and they said, hey, no, Austin's not for us. For example, I had a family from New Jersey that they're used to having a robust, a very good public transportation infrastructure to where they can just go to every corner. Again, I haven't been out there, but this is what they told me. And they can catch a bus or the train or whatever. We don't have that here. The infrastructure for public transportation sucks. I'll be honest, it just sucks. And so if that is what you're used to, let's say New York, we don't have that here. So this would typically not fit your vibe. It would not fit your lifestyle, especially if you're not used to driving. You have to drive everywhere. We are very car dependent. We need a car to go everywhere. Even the grocery store that may take 10 to 15 minutes, you have to take the car. It's not like the bus can take you there or the little metro can take you there. We don't have that. And that is just the reality of living really anywhere in Texas, unless you live downtown. So visit before you come. We can create a nice itinerary. We can actually share with you some of our favorite restaurants, favorite spots to hit. If you like the nightlife, if you're still into that, we can show you some of that. We can show you some family-friendly spots. And then, of course, to go see some communities as well. If you're watching this video and you're like, hey, wife, husband, whatever, let's go down there, let me know. Even if you're still undecided, just let me know, because then I can share that with you. But just reach out to the number, the email, and I can share with you a nice itinerary of what you can do. And then when that time comes, we're already connected and we can help you come up with a plan to buy your next house or maybe your dream home here in the Austin, Texas area. Another one very important that no one talks about is the adjustment period. Of course, with any move comes an adjustment period. But when we're talking about moving to Texas, a completely different state, then you have to take into consideration things like the weather. It takes one summer to really truly find out if you can stand the heat. And also when you add that humidity over 50, 60%, that changes everything, because 95 degrees may feel more like 105, 108, 110. And then comes those months where truly the temperature can be 105, 108, 110. And can you truly withstand that? Another adjustment period, very, very important, is the dependency on your car. The fact that to go anywhere, it may take 15 to 20 minutes to go to the shop, to go to the grocery store, to go to a restaurant, to go to downtown Austin. Pretty much anywhere that you go in the Austin area, it's gonna take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. So that is also an adjustment period that people don't realize. Is like, man, I have to get on my car to go everywhere, and I was just not used to that where I used to live. Another comment that I've gotten in the past, which is very surprising, and honestly for this one, I think that people just don't try to find out things to do, because there is a million things to do in the Austin area. There's always something to get into. But I had a young couple, very young couple, and I think more than anything is that they could not adjust to the weather, because they were coming out from San Francisco, and I think they missed the coast and the beach. But flat out, they told me the reason why they were moving back is because they just didn't have many things to do. Maybe many things to do for them and what they're used to, but there's a lot of things to do here. But that is one comment that I got. But the good news is, because they bought a home in a growing city and a growing town, it is fully rented. They have not had any vacancies in the location where they bought it. Amazing location. So the good news is that they have a great investment in a city that it's gonna continue to grow. So adjustment periods are important. You have to give yourself some grace. It's not gonna happen over time. And remember, you come into a completely different state in the South, so things may be completely different to you. But that is kind of the part of the adventure and part of the fun of moving to a new place. And one thing that I will add to adjustment periods, if you're concerned about your kids not adjusting, let me tell you something. We have had numerous families where the ones that have trouble adjusting is you. Yeah, you that are watching right now. The adults. You have more of a hard time adjusting than the kids. The kids, within a month, within a couple of weeks, they have friends, you name it. They don't even want to go back to where they came from. So watch out for you, the adult, that will have a harder time adjusting than the kids. So don't worry about your kids. Your kids will, in a month, they'll make a ton of friends and they won't have any trouble. Because another adjustment to add on to that is that people that find me here on YouTube and they end up moving out here and we help them through the process, they're like, man, everybody's so friendly. I'm just not used to this. And that can be a little bit shocking. They're not used, especially if you're coming from the Northeast. I mean, I know you're friendly, but for the most part, if you're out and about, you're not that friendly. Well, here, everywhere you go, everybody says, hello, how are you doing? And they mean it. So that may also come as an adjustment period for you guys that are not used to that. And you're like, well, what do I say? What do I do now? I don't even know what to tell them. I hate small talk. Well, small talk is a thing out here, so get used to that. Good news, you have moved to Texas and you have no state income tax, but now you meet the evil twin, property taxes. And that is a reality of living here. Your home will come with a higher tax rate. Typically, a tax rate in the area is anywhere from 2% and 2.9% is the highs that I've seen lately. So that is a reality, and you have to take that into account into your math. Can you put up with a higher property tax bill? The good news is that we have a homestead exemption that lowers your taxes. And now Governor Abbott just passed a law that it's gonna increase the exemption even more. By increase, meaning that your decrease in your taxes is even higher. Especially if you're over 65, you can also add that on to your homestead exemption. So that is good news, but the reality of living in the area is that property taxes tend to be one of the highest in the entire nation, even though you may not have state income tax. And you also do have a sales tax. So keep in mind that evil twin, property taxes. Another fact to living in Austin, Texas is that you might be neighbors to a bulldozer. There is construction everywhere, expansion, roads, a brand new water park here in Round Rock, Texas, and that is the reality of living here. And what does that mean? Congestion, traffic, roads getting closed off. You might want to have a quiet morning in your porch, and then right next door you have construction. Of course, I'm being a little dramatic, but the point is that there's construction everywhere, and if you hate that, that is something to keep in mind when it comes to the city. We're gonna continue to expand for years to come. The good news is, for example, here in Round Rock, they're expanding an amazing water park for you and the family. They're making it even bigger. So that's better amenities for you, better roads for you, more housing options, because that's only what it means when they're constructing more and more and more. So, but keep it in mind, you might be neighbors to a tractor. You might be neighbors to a bulldozer, like I mentioned before. The roads will get beat up, and then you're gonna be annoyed and in a bad mood when you're riding on these really bad roads, and then the city takes a while to fix these. So again, it's just the reality of it. Now, another good news is that things are brand new. For example, you're gonna get a brand new water park. That is awesome. So that means that if you move here for the next 10 to 15 years, you're gonna enjoy a brand new water park. So facilities are newer, but you're gonna have to deal with the consequences of new construction and expansion, which equals traffic and congestion. Look at that, everywhere. Here's a bonus one for you. Nature here is aggressive. You have to be careful when you're walking around out in nature. You have scorpions, you have rattlesnake, and honestly, you don't wanna end up like that guy over there. Let me zoom in for you. You always has to be on the lookout so you don't end up like the homie right here. No. You know, I filmed most of this video about 2 weeks ago, and what happened in the past 5 days was not really expected. I'm bringing you in here to share another thing to keep in mind when it comes to moving to the Central Texas area, to the Austin area, and something very tragic that just happened in the last 5 days. And you know, I consider it, you know, human nature that we tend to kind of block out these things and we just kind of put them behind us. But it's important that you guys know this because, as you know, if you've been watching me for a while, I try to be as transparent and bring you as much information as possible. But bottom line, although we're very lucky that we don't have a ton of natural disasters like hurricanes and snowstorms and things like that, but I guess you could say that in the last few years that hasn't been the case. But you know, we do need to be aware, or you need to be aware, especially if you're moving to this area, regarding floods, flash flooding. I honestly just found out, I've been here for 25 years, but I just found out that the hill country is considered flash flood alley. And when you have heavy rains like we did in the last 5 days, the risk of flooding is very real. And again, you know, we had them back in 2016, 2018, we had the Wimberley flooding. Then I found out that in the 90s, I wasn't here, but we had those. And then it's not that you forget about it, but you just kind of tend to block it out. But with this happening just literally 2 days ago, and we're still going through this, a tragedy that happened in Kerrville, which is closer to San Antonio more than it is to Austin. But the risk of flash flooding is very real in this region, especially if you're in the hill country. And if you want to get more specific as far as like, where is the hill country? So if you're looking at a map, if you're looking at I-35, west of that, you have Mopac. And then west of that could be considered the hill country. And again, I know some of you out there are going to be like, that's not the hill country, but I'm just giving you, just to keep it simple. And basically in flash flooding alley, when you have a ton of rain in a short amount of time, the hill country, it's called the hill country for a reason, because you have some elevation and some depression, right? The water can rush so quickly. And some of these older homes, not necessarily the newer development, but some of these older homes are in riskier areas. And so anyways, all that to say that I didn't want to finish this video without bringing this up, because this is very important for you to know if you're moving to the area. It is more applicable to that area of Austin. So Leander, although Georgetown got hit by it, but it didn't really hit kind of the newer neighborhoods. Georgetown, Leander, and then as you come down Bee Cave, Lakeway area, you know, places that are very close to these creeks and these rivers, you have to be aware of this risk, high risk for flash flooding. Now, these events are very, very rare. Let me be very clear about that. Again, the last one happened, I believe it was 2017, 2018. Now we had one, unfortunately we had this year, and a lot of people lost their lives in Kerrville, and then here also in Travis County, and then I think a couple in Williamson County. And obviously, you know, nobody wants to hear that, especially when we're talking about kids. That's what, you know, it's just tough to hear that, especially when you know, it's just girls that are going camping and, you know, summer camp. Anyways, just hard to hear that. And so just be aware of that when it comes to moving out here. You're not gonna find that in these newer communities. For example, I live in Pflugerville, and yeah, it rained a lot, but we had no flash flooding here. You know, just be very aware of this risk. And obviously we can help you through that process and in finding out these risky areas. But at the same time, I'm sure some of you may know, flash flooding is so unpredictable and it could happen so quickly. Obviously the areas that were closer to the rivers got affected the most, which makes total sense. It was so unexpected and it came so quickly that as much as they try to prepare, you know, who knows what was going through their mind when this was happening. Lastly, to close this video, you know, this is very important to bring it to you guys, but I hope you enjoy the video. This is very important for me to bring to you because it's something that you really have to keep in mind when it comes to moving to Austin, knowing the truth of living in here. And if you want to know more about the situation, if you want to contribute, if you want to give donations, definitely reach out and I can give you some links, some of the organizations that are helping with it. We personally are going to help, especially the people out in Kerrville, and of course here locally in Travis County. We're neighbors to these guys out there, and Texas is doing a great job of helping. But if you have any more questions about this, how to help, and just whatever it may be, you know, just reach out and we can help you get connected. Till next time, adios.